We are seeing events in European capitals and institutions focused on how best to dismember and destroy our country. It was Russia, on the eve of the Ukrainian crisis, which consistently proposed to the West to sign agreements on mutual security guarantees. All of them were arrogantly rejected. As a result, the world is now teetering on the brink of a suicidal conflict, which the EU, together with the rest of the West, is moving towards by stepping up arms supplies to the Kiev regime and increasing its involvement. It is claimed that NATO and the EU will use all political, economic and military means in the interests of their 1 billion citizens. The rest of the world is seen as a hostile environment that must be reformatted with these very tools.
There were a number of countries that voted against the resolution, and another number of countries, even larger, who made the decision to abstain and not vote for this resolution condemning Russia and calling for Russia to immediately withdraw its forces. Now, the representative of India, when she spoke before the General Assembly, she made a point of explaining why it was that India had chosen to abstain and some of the very serious concerns countries have about this resolution.
Today, as the General Assembly marks a year of the Ukrainian conflict, it is important that we ask ourselves a few pertinent questions. Are we anywhere near a possible solution acceptable to both sides? Can any process that does not involve either of the two sides ever lead to a credible and meaningful solution? Has the UN system, and particularly its principal organ, the UN Security Council, based on a 1945 world construct, not been rendered ineffective?
Now, it's also important to note that we heard remarks from the representative of Hungary prior to the vote that also were somewhat insightful as to what's going on and the feelings across the world.
We can save lives of the people by creating peace. And based on our experience, it became already pretty obvious that neither delivery of weapons nor sanctions, those measures do not save lives. To the contrary, they contribute to the prolongation and the risk of escalation of this war, and they bring more suffering. United Nations have been created to serve as a platform for dialogue for those who even consider each other as enemies. Therefore, we urge talks between Russia and the United States to be started as soon as possible in the framework of the United Nations. We do not want the world to be divided into blocks again. Instead of blocks, we want connectivity and cooperation. And we do not want this regional war to become a global one.
Now, a number of countries in Africa chose to abstain and not vote for or against the resolution. And we have previously heard from Russian officials about how they feel that one-sided resolutions such as this are simply serving propaganda purposes for the United States, and they don't get the world any closer to seeing a resolution to the conflict.